25 minutes before 11 o'clock, it is time for Legally Yours. This is the segment of AM Ocala Live where John Fuller is here to answer your questions about the law. Today's date is July 1st, the first day of July 2015. If that's the same date on your calendar, then you are listening to a live show, and you are invited to call in and participate in the show, whether it's a question or a comment. John is here to address it. The phone number is 622-9622. John Fuller is an attorney here in Ocala at the law firm of Fuller and Fuller, the other Fuller, his beautiful wife, Janet. How you doing, John?
I'm good, Larry. How are you? And how have you been?
Pretty good. 4th of July coming up. And,
I know. It's a 3-day holiday, and I hope all our listeners will enjoy it and most especially be safe. One of the things I do want to mention, and it's a great pleasure that I'm able to do this, last week the Florida Bar Annual Convention was held in Boca Raton, Florida.
Uh-huh.
And Ocala lawyer, who's a dear friend of mine, his name is Gordon Glover. He worked for me as a law clerk, and when we were both at another law firm, and then he became my kind of designated associate, and he tried a lot of cases with me and worked with me throughout his early years out of law school.
Uh-huh.
And he was just elected and sworn in by the Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court to the presidency of the Young Lawyers Division for the state of Florida.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And that is a very substantial achievement. There's a lot of challenges facing the bar, and Gordon is a superb lawyer. He is a fine gentleman and just a really good, caring human being. And I have some degree of pride having worked with him for 10 years very closely. And I want to offer Janet's and my congratulations, all the staff at Fuller and Fuller. I want to acknowledge Gordon Glover publicly for his achievements. He's a superbly rated lawyer who does an excellent job in the practice of law, but spends countless number of hours in service to the Bar Association, and has worked his way up through the Young Lawyer Board of Governors to last year he was president-elect, and he was sworn in last Friday in Boca Raton as the president of the Young Lawyers Division for this upcoming year, and I'm sure he'll do an outstanding job.
I believe you've mentioned him before, by the way.
I may have. He's a very good friend of mine, but an excellent lawyer and someone who I admire. And he's was born in Gainesville, and he graduated from the University of Florida in 2001 and was voted the #1 male graduate from undergraduate school then. So he's been one of those type of individuals who's been literally a significant achiever and a superstar in every way. He's married to his lovely wife, Ashley, and they have 3-year-old twins who are absolutely adorable. They were there when he was sworn in. His son, Bennett, held the Bible while he took the oath of office, and they actually stole the show. They are adorable, and they're just a wonderful family, and we commend them for their achievement and are grateful to call them friends.
That's great. The phone lines are open if you want to call John, 622-9622. When you first start, is like a doctor where your first surgery, you wouldn't be in there by yourself. When you take the first case, do you have a more senior attorney with you?
Well, that's a very good point, and it's a point of great concern, and there isn't that kind of a requirement. The law schools are doing much better now in offering practical trial-level courses where you can work for the state attorney's office or the public defender's office and get some trial experience as a law student working with another lawyer. But they don't have enough available spaces for all the lawyers that they are in law school. So unfortunately, many lawyers graduate from law school and have not been in a courtroom. And even more unfortunately, in my opinion, and this was part of the comments made at the bar convention, in 1979, for instance, Florida had 24,000 lawyers in it in
Wow.
1979. I started practicing law in 1973, so it was
Okay.
even less than 24,000 when I started.
So is that a lot? I
practicing.
said, wow, maybe it's not a lot. huh?
Well, that was in 79. To give you the perspective and the proportionality of this, as of now, Florida has 104,000 lawyers in Florida.
Wow.
They are 11 law schools, many of them based on a profit margin where they get paid a lot of money for tuition. People go to these law schools, they graduate, they usually are in debt for student loans in excess of $100,000, and 60% of the recent graduates can't get a job. So they aren't going to have a mentor available to them. In past, the way it worked in practicality, a lawyer graduated from law school, and I did this, and Gordon did this. You work with a law firm, and you work closely with an older, experienced lawyer, and you go to court, and you start out observing. Then you start out doing part of the case, a small part, maybe one argument or one witness or something like that. And you have that tutelage and that seasoning that helps train you and complete your training. Medicine does it within the confines of the whole medical education experience. You go to medical school, you get a medical doctor degree, but you don't go out and start practicing. You have to have an internship, a residency, and many of them get fellowships. And they are actually practicing medicine, but under the supervision of attending physicians or older residents. And law doesn't have that, and there needs to be something done. And I certainly don't profess to have the answer.
Oh, wow.
It's a good question that you raised.
You do have a phone call. Let's take that call. Good morning. You're on the air with John Fuller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good, thank you. In a courtroom situation, you have what they call sergeant of arms. Is that an appointed position, or is that an assignment from the police department, or how do those people get to do that job?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
In the courtroom, they have what they call sergeant of arms. Somebody that overlooks.
You're talking about the courtroom bailiff, the deputy sheriff who's in there. He's armed. He maintains decorum. He protects the judge. He works for the Marion County Sheriff's Department, and he is every judge is assigned a courtroom bailiff, and every time there's a procedure, the judge's bailiff is there. He protects the courtroom. He protects the judge. He protects the staff. He protects the people there. The courthouse has security, which is provided by a separate private security agency that are at all the entrances. They scan the briefcases and the purses and carry-in items, much like an airport, and you walk through a metal detector, and these are security guards who patrol the parking garage and maintain the safety and integrity of the building and the grounds. But that's the way that works.
Yeah, for like a bailiff now, would somebody would want to be a bailiff and volunteer? And would it be like maybe like a lifetime career to be a bailiff?
I don't know. The people that are bailiffs are all licensed law enforcement officers who have taken the required educational courses and gotten their law enforcement certification, worked in law enforcement usually. Many of them have military backgrounds, and it's an assignment that the sheriff makes, just like he decides to assign a deputy to, is he a detective, is he a patrol deputy, Is he a jailer? I don't really know how that works. That's way beyond my involvement, and the decision on who is accepted or who applies or that criteria. Those are things that I'm not privy to.
Yeah. It would seem that to be a bailiff would be a pretty good job. I mean, you're indoors and you're comfortable, and chances of something happening in the courtroom are probably remote. So I said, to me, it sounds like it would be a great assignment.
I guess that depends on who you talk to and how you look at. I know we have wonderful bailiffs there who always do an outstanding job. They are dedicated. I have no doubt in my mind that every bailiff in the Marion County Courthouse would sacrifice their own safety and life to protect the judges, the staff, the people in the courtroom. They do a wonderful job. I do know they work very long hours, and they're on their feet a lot, and they have a lot of responsibility.
Usually always standing, right?
Every day when people who are arrested are brought to court for their first appearance or for a change of plea or for sentencing, and they get sent to state prison, they have to be fingerprinted, and it's the bailiffs and the courtroom staff and the law enforcement officers who are responsible to maintain the security and transporting people who are brought in from the jail for their court appearances. It's not a job that is without a lot of responsibility, a lot of long hours, and that's all I can say is that I have a lot of admiration for all of those men and women. They have very competent women bailiffs who I have every confidence in of their ability.
All right, we need to take a little break. Thank you for the call. We'll take a little break and be right back with John. If you want to call in, the number is 622-9622. And just to remind you, today is July 1st, 2015. If that's the date on your calendar and you would like to call John, this is the time to do it. 622-9622.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, sunshine mixing with clouds. A thunderstorm around during the afternoon and evening hours. The high today 91 to 95. Partly cloudy later tonight, low 70 inland, 76 on the coast. Tomorrow, sunshine mixing with clouds with a thunderstorm around during the afternoon and evening hours. The high tomorrow 90 to 94. On Friday, sunshine and some clouds with a couple of thunderstorms popping up in the afternoon. The high 91 to 95. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
La Famiglia Pizzeria has moved into Ocala. Stop by today at 2504 Southeast 17th Street and see for yourself what everyone is talking about.
Awesome place. I never get pizza anywhere else.
Great New York-style pizza and dishes.
Best pizza in Ocala.
One trip and you'll agree, La Famiglia Pizzeria is the best. La Famiglia Pizzeria. Stop by for a pizza that you'll love or call in and order yours for pickup. 352-245-2419. La Famiglia Pizzeria.
Radio Show.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Do you have areas that have started sagging or drooping? Is what you're looking at not quite the same as it was years ago? Are there enhancements you've been putting off? Is there serious damage you need fixed? Then call on us, Damage Control Services. When your roof is sagging and the drywall is drooping after a storm, or your home just needs some enhancements, from damage repairs to new construction, Damage Control Services is here to help.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking: will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. John Fuller is here, and your calls are an important part of the show. Just again, it's July 1st, 2015. If that's the date on your calendar, then you're listening to a live show, and you're welcome to call 622-9622. My goodness, that you really kind of gave us an understanding of what that bailiff guy does. That's not an easy job.
No, I don't think anybody in law enforcement has an easy job.
Right, yeah.
I have said for years that people in law enforcement need to be better paid. Certainly, people in fire rescue and our fire department.
Right.
I mean, they are. It's just almost outrageous how little we pay those people for what they do, and the leadership of our local government needs to figure it out. And because society, look what happened in New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina went through, and all institutional controls broke down. There was no electricity, there was no water, there was no law enforcement. Firefighters and pararescue and firemen were being fired at by snipers who were looting buildings.
Right.
It was utter chaos. It looked like a war zone right here in this country just a few years ago when we had a basic complete breakdown in law enforcement in one of our largest metropolitan cities because of a hurricane. So they do a super important job. I think I also have, when I've had criminal cases and the investigator has failed to do his job, it's my job and duty as a professional to attack that. Not attack them personally, but to attack the job they did. And I've won a number of cases because of not really good investigation, not being critical, but go pay them a wage that justifies additional training. It goes hand in hand. You're people who have gone and gotten degrees. I used to teach a course in the criminal justice program, the master's program for Rollins College. And these were law enforcement people who were working all day and going to college at night to get their master's degree. Those people deserve to be paid the same level other professionals with a master's level degree are being paid.
Absolutely.
Especially if you want to get good people.
All right, let's go to the phone. Good morning. Thank you for calling and for waiting. You're on the air now with John Fuller.
Hey, good morning, Larry. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
John, I couldn't agree with you more when you look at people that run into a burning house to save you for what they're getting paid, and then we look at the pay scale of a county commissioner that's a public trust office that you spend thousands of dollars for your campaign to get elected into. It's wrong, and it's unbalanced considerably. And the other thing is, the issue with New Orleans, look at society's point in that. It's compared New Orleans with the incident at the Fukushima power plant in Japan and how the two different societies reacted in a natural disaster. But John, love your show.
Thank you.
Larry, always good hearing you. Talk to you all later.
Thank you for your kind words, and I certainly agree with what you've said in my opinion. And that's my opinion. But golly, I think that gentleman just summed it up brilliantly.
And do they ever serve as expert witnesses? Are they allowed to?
I'm sorry?
Does a law enforcement officer or deputy, is that person, because they're right in the thick of a crime sometimes?
Well, most of the time they're just fact witnesses. What did they see? What did they observe? What did their investigation result? An expert witness is described as a witness who has specialized training, expertise in a particular field, and is therefore, if he or she is qualified to offer expert opinion on a subject. A lay witness can't offer an expert opinion on a subject, so they have to have special skill and training. So, to that extent, sure, law enforcement people can get qualified in certain areas that they may be able to testify as an expert in. Certainly, one area is like traffic accident reconstruction. If they're properly and adequately trained, they can testify to the calculation of the speed of the vehicles when they collided. If a car went off the road, there's a formula that they can apply and measurements they can take that they can calculate what is the escape velocity that the vehicle will leave the road to establish what speed the vehicle was going when it left the road.
Yeah.
And they have to have special training for that, and they have to be a designated homicide investigator, accident reconstruction expert. And under those circumstances, yes, I've had law enforcement officers qualified as experts and testify. I haven't, but the prosecutor has.
By the way, I need your advice on something. I'm thinking about filling out a document, and I'm thinking about lying on the document. The document is it's regarding buying fireworks. And the document asks me if I'm going to be using them to scare birds off of my farm, because that's the only way I can legally buy fireworks. So I'm thinking about saying yes. That's why I'm getting them. Have you seen this doc? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but now that you've announced this on the public, I don't recommend it. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't know what the consequences are, but
I should show you the form.
I don't think I would recommend you do that. And after having made a public statement that the contrary is probably
I don't have a
true,
farm.
I would if that was a hypothetical. The answer is it's probably not a good idea.
Well, listen, there's a firework tent right out here on the mall.
Yeah, I'm just not in the market for them, Larry.
And if you buy the ones that are illegal, you have to swear that you're using it to scare birds or something.
I had no idea.
Yeah, otherwise you're not legally allowed to have them.
Had no idea. I haven't played with fireworks in a long time.
But just think how many people are actually doing that. I really won't be doing that because I don't buy fireworks. But can you imagine how many people actually sign that thing?
Well, I suspect it sure would scare birds. I don't know.
I'm sure it does.
It'd be hard to determine whether there was a bird there or not when you fired it, because they're most everywhere. So no, I did not. I was not aware of that.
Well, I'm not really doing it. Besides, I know a good lawyer in case if I do.
Yeah. Well.
You were talking to Robin before we went on the air about the cases that you typically will take on. You were a high-profile guy. I mean, you get a lot of the big ones.
No. I limit my practice to those cases that I am able to handle competently, and that we have the appropriate time to give them the time they deserve. For our listeners, before we started the air, there was a question about my handling family law dissolution of marriage actions. And I said I do not do a general across-the-board family law practice. I handle 3 or 4 or 5 major family law cases involving very substantial assets, complex business holdings, and very contentious issues that we litigate. And I handle a few of those. The cost and fees to litigate cases of those complexity and those magnitudes is very substantial because they are very time consuming, and that's the way I do it because that's the number that I can handle and do a good job at.
Well, you have a call, but I must tell you, we've got like 50 seconds, so if we can squeeze a super quick one in. Good morning, you're on with John.
Good morning, John.
Morning.
It's good to hear you again.
Thank you.
In a case where you think that the fact witness is wrong, which is the police officer, which is obviously he's wrong, you think that's a good idea to challenge in small claims court in, say, simple accident cases to keep your record clear and keep points off your license or something like that. I had a lawyer, but he thought it was would cost too much to represent
We
in
got
a case,
20 seconds.
such as that.
I've only got 20 seconds. I don't want to cut you off. Certainly, you have to weigh the expense versus the benefit of everything you do. But challenging statements is always your right to confront witnesses, and that's what the Montgomery Claims Court's about. So
Right.
that's the best I can tell you in 20 seconds. But I'll be glad to talk with you more about it if you call next week.
And what's your phone number, real quick?
Our office number is 352-547-4292, and our website is ocala-lawyer.com, which has all our information.
Okay, we'll join the news just a little bit late. Thank you, John. Thank you for doing.
Thanks to our
We'll be
callers.
right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
July 20th, the fire at a black church in South Carolina does not appear to be arson, according to a federal investigator.
It happened around 9 o'clock Tuesday night as storms moved through the area. The church was gutted.
Fox Radio's Tanya J. Powers. No one was believed to have been inside at the time. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Advance Auto